All right, guys, we got 2 weeks left in the regular season. Week 17, we have a matchup against Philadelphia Eagles in Buffalo. This is going to be a great game. Great matchup. Let's take a look at the preview here and talk a little bit more.
Philadelphia Eagles, division clinched, playoff ticket punched. Now all that matters, sync up all the parts over the next 2 games and begin the defense of their belt.
Hurts steps up, rips it, end zone, Goddard, touchdown Philly! Jalen Hurts finds Goddard from 15.
Seeding still in play for Philadelphia, so no need for anyone to sit. They are in Buffalo this week. Bills on a 4-game win streak. AFC East still in play for them. Still haven't officially punched their playoff ticket.
Yeah, buddy, AFC East is still in play. It's a long shot. New England would have to lose to either New York Jets or Miami Dolphins, which is a stretch. The Jets, they want the first pick in the draft. They want to get a new quarterback, so they're probably not going to really give them much of a test. Dolphins, I think, have already benched Tua. Really, it's the Patriots' division to lose, but nevertheless, Buffalo would like to at least finish with the 5 seed, which would give the most favorable matchup in the opening round of the playoffs. It would be Buffalo against the 4 seed, the 4-5 matchup, which looks like it's going to be Pittsburgh. We've already really beaten and dominated Pittsburgh this year, although they have looked better in their last couple of games. Against the Lions and against Baltimore, I don't think that they would be really a tough test for us. We would be able to go in there and kind of just take care of business again. If you're Buffalo, you want the 5 seed, just in case if you were to run into. It's very possible that the Chargers could win. They've got their very well coached team with Jim Harbaugh as the coach. As a 6 or 7 seed, and Houston Texans have an awesome defense. Very possible that the 5, 6, and 7 Buffalo, Los Angeles Chargers, Houston Texans could very well beat the 2, 3, 4, or some combination. They're in. Still a lot to play for here for Buffalo. I know Coach is probably taking it easy on the players a little bit this week, doing more walkthroughs than actual physical practices because of the holiday. It's going to be a very interesting matchup from the standpoint of Philadelphia is a run-first physical team, especially on the road. They're going to want to establish the run with Saquon Barkley and seeing how that we can match up with that. Stopping the run is our weakness. Maybe Coach will employ more of a base 4-3 defense and get Shaq Thompson out there and Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. Get all 3 linebackers out there. Maybe play a little bit less with the nickel. Be interesting to kind of see if they do that, and even if they're more aggressive early in the game by run blitzing on first and second downs, where you're blitzing the linebackers intentionally to stop the run, make Jalen Hurts try to beat you over the top. He's going to hit maybe 1 or 2, but ultimately you got to speed up his clock in the pocket, keep him in the pocket, and I think that we'll be able to come out with a dub.
Handoff to Cook. Try to get there, extends his arm. He's
Cook.
in. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Buffalo's win over Cleveland last week, not their finest effort, offensively at least, but at this stage of the season, a win is a win. And even if Josh Allen and their passing attack didn't lead the way versus the Browns, Allen hurt his foot in that game, by the way. They have James Cook, and he's been on fire down the stretch. 4 100-yard games in his last 5, back-to-back 2 TD games, 117 on 7-3 a carry versus Cleveland.
Gets around 3 defenders and then kicks it to another gear. Cook still going. Touchdown. Wow. Tremendous run.
My goodness.
Cook was the key to Buffalo scratching out the 23 points they did. Allen only threw for 130 yards, no touchdowns, a low 80s rate. Offense only converted 2 of 8 third down chances.
Allen out of the pocket, and Allen's going to chuck it away.
Yeah, it was an ugly win in Cleveland. There was nothing sexy about it. The passing game did not look good. Couple of key drops, couple of kind of bad plays that we maybe would like to get back, but we're not going to be able to afford to do that against the Eagles. The Eagles will make us pay if we do that.
Incomplete.
Allen has had 3 subpar outings in his last 5. Not one Bill with even 35 receiving yards versus the Browns. Khalil Shakir just 34. Donut for Dalton Kincaid. 10 yards for Dawson Knox. Still, they sport the league's 4th highest scoring offense. Can they look the part against a Philadelphia defense 3rd in scoring? Eagles held Washington to 18 points, 2 for 10 on 3rd down, have held their last 3 opponents under 23.
Wow, this is good on good, right? So Buffalo has the 4th overall scoring offense, and the Eagles have the 3rd best scoring defense, which means they let up the least amount of points. There's only 2 teams that let up less points with their defense than Philly.
Mariota's still in trouble, and Mariota gets swallowed up. Guess who? It's Brandon Graham making his impact again.
Philly holding teams to 19 a game overall, holding quarterbacks to a 74 rating, held Marcus Mariota and Josh Johnson to 138 yards passing, no TDs.
Look, the Commanders, they're not impressive. Marcus Mariota, whatever. They had a great defensive outing against an average quarterback, backup, 3rd-string quarterback, whatever. But end of the day, we're not going to be able to turn the ball over. If we're turning the ball over, fumbles, interceptions, forget about it. If we're taking bad sacks, if Josh is taking bad sacks, holding the ball too long, forget about it. We need to get the ball out of his hand quickly. We need to establish the run. Got to get it to the backs and the tight ends. Obviously, our wide receivers are very average, subpar at best. So we'll see how it goes.
He's 52 rating.
Well, in the first half, we talked about this season. Quinyon Mitchell's has clearly entered that premier defensive back category. I mean, he's following top receivers.
Can James keep cooking versus Philadelphia's front? They haven't played running backs terribly in 2025, haven't played them great either, but held Washington's backs in check last week, have held the last 2 teams they've faced under 100 rush yards.
This play is shut down by Jordan.
Yeah, honestly, I think the rush is going to be hard to come by. Right? Ultimately, over the course of the game, I think we scratch out some yards. I don't think Cook goes over 100. Maybe gets 1 touchdown if he's lucky. It's going to be tough to run against this team. What I would really like to see is if the coaches are smart, they'll break their tendencies a little bit, right? So they're going to be looking to stop the run. Everybody knows we can run. 1st down, 2nd down, once in a while, under center with Josh Allen, play action pass. Make the linebackers come up, make the linebackers kind of hesitate, and then get them over the top, right in behind them, 8 to 12 yard range, tight ends, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid if he's playing. If Dalton Kincaid's not healthy, use Keon Coleman in the Dalton Kincaid routes. Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid are really the same thing, right? A one-dimensional pass-catching tight end, a big slow wide receiver. Dalton Kincaid is basically a slow wide receiver, right? He doesn't physically block at the line like Jackson Hawes does. You're not going to see him getting gritty, knocking out defensive linemen and hitting linebackers. You'll see him block against defensive backs and safeties, right? Keon Coleman, same thing. Keon Coleman is not a wide receiver. He's slow. That's why they say he's a good slot receiver. He's basically a tight end. Right? Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman, in my mind, are almost the same thing. If Dalton Kincaid is injured or can't go full speed and you're not getting it done with Knox for some reason, I'm telling you right now, Coach McDermott, I'm imploring you right now, please try Keon Coleman running some of Kincaid's route concepts and formations, because they are really the same big body, slow receiver, right? We'll just call them both tight end, pass catching tight end. Just like you can say Kincaid's a pass catching tight end like a receiver, you could say Coleman's basically a pass catching tight end, right? He's too slow to be a boundary receiver. So I'm just asking you, look, if you're not getting it done with Dawson Knox, and you're not getting a lot out of Kincaid because he's always and often injured, use Coleman for what you got. Run him in the Kincaid role. Come on, man. Get your head in the game. Let's do it.
Jordan Davis having another big-time game.
Eagles were on a 3-game slide, then they turned it around and won their last 2 against the Raiders and Commanders. Not only teams way under the 500 mark, but they faced backup quarterbacks both contests. They didn't face an elite running back. so this is a chance to see how they fare versus playoff caliber competition, and all that holds true for their offense too. They've put up 29 plus points back-to-back games.
Sideline touchdown. Devontae Smith hangs on to this one.
And regardless of who they've played their last two outings, the most notable difference to how they're playing lately compared to how clunky they looked earlier this year, Saquon. Because Barkley was...
This is why I say Buffalo should try a little bit of the base 4-3. You got to find a way to shut down Saquon Barkley. They also have a very talented tight end named Goddard, right? Terrell Bernard can help in that regard. The base 4-3 gives you more physicality at the line. You can get Shaq Thompson out there. You can get Milano out there. You can get Bernard out there. And it still gives you, 4 on the back end, right? So you can go, if the base 4-3, you still got your corners matched up on their 1 and 2 receivers. You still got safety help over the top. And, I think you might need to get be a little bit more physical, a little bit bigger in the front seven in order to hang with this team, because they will do the same thing Buffalo does to other teams. When Buffalo went into Pittsburgh and they ran the same running play 30 times in a row, if Philly gets rolling, they will run the same running play on you 10, 15, 20 times in a row or some variation thereof. If they get Saquon going, if you sit in a nickel defense and they're crushing your front four, look out. You might need to get a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical. Hopefully you don't wait too long to get too aggressive and maybe throw a couple run blitzes in there. McDermott
struggling to look anywhere close to 2024 Saquon, regardless of who was in front of him. Now he's starting to pop off again. 132 yards versus Washington, 6.3 a carry. He scored, has put up 2 120-plus yard games in his last 3.
Barkley again cuts it back. Stays on his feet. Saquon Barkley's in. A hard-fought touchdown.
They got a touchdown and 37 yards on 4 Tank Bigsby runs last week, too. Plus, Jalen Hurts ran for 40 yards on 5-7 per escape. If Philadelphia's rush attack starts to really click again, Eugene Struthers will tell you their offense and team will take it to a whole nother level.
Rolls to his right and runs a lot of...
Honestly, I don't think Jalen Hurts is that big of a threat to run anymore. You can see he's big and slow. The biggest kind of situational awareness, the biggest situations you need to look for him to run in. Third down, he's going to try to get the first downs, and then also red zone. When he's got the team in the red zone, he's going to try to leak out and grab a touchdown or two or, something like that. But, they should do the cage rush, keep him in the pocket, and make him beat you from the pocket. He is not a good passer. In terms of throwing with anticipation, timing, and rhythm, Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. Okay? Jalen Hurts needs to buy time with his legs. The play needs to break down. He needs to scramble a little bit. If you keep him in the pocket and you slow down the running game, they're going to have a long day in Buffalo. I got news for you, and that's going to be your way to win.
Room for Jalen Hurts.
Hurts has rushed for 30-plus yards in 5 of his last 6, and he's looked pretty good with his arm, too. 5 TDs, no interceptions over his last 2, 22 of 30 passing last week, a 111 rate, 2 TDs with no picks.
Browns got it again into Commanders territory.
Now he tries to keep it rolling versus a Buffalo defense that gave up 49 rush yards to Shedeur Sanders week 16.
Now you see me, now you don't. Shedeur Sanders.
Saquon gets a front, allowing 5.2 a carry to running backs in 2025, only 2 teams more generous to the position. They didn't have any issues with Cleveland's running backs, but that's a major mismatch on paper with how Barkley has been looking. Hurts, though, is looking at a Buffalo secondary holding quarterbacks to the 5th lowest rating of the year. Hurts, though, is looking at a Buffalo secondary holding quarterbacks to the 5th lowest rate on the year. They handled Sanders as a passer with relative ease, picked him off twice, just 157 yards, a 64 rating.
Yeah, our defense is playing great in the secondary, but I'll tell you right now, 157 yards to Sanders. Jalen Hurts, his sweet spot is right in that 160 to 190 yards and say 2 touchdowns. If you allow Jalen Hurts to throw for say like 185 and 2 touchdowns with no picks, and they got any kind of a running game going, there's a good chance they're going to win this game.
Open field tackle made. It's Jordan Poyer. big play for Buffalo.
Bills held Cleveland to 20 points on the day.
That's a soft toss to Judy, and the Bills are ready for it. Taron Johnson.
But Buffalo's defense is allowing 22 a game overall, middle of the pack, had given up 31 and 34 points their previous 2 games, so you wouldn't describe it as a stout defense per se. They held every Browns pass catcher under 40 yards. That will be much harder to do chasing Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown around. Guess Brown imagined being a WR1 again while running on his treadmill because boom, he's manifested 95 plus yards in 4 of his last 5 strolls across the gridiron.
Here's Brown underneath, shaking, stiff-arming, and getting inside the 5. A.J. Brown makes it 1st and goal.
Smith with a TD and 42 yards versus Washington, 69 yards away from a 1,000-yard season.
Lets it rip and has Devontae Smith into Washington territory.
Dallas Goedert, the 4th leg to their passing attack table, 32 yards and a touchdown a week ago. X factor on both sides of the ball, the trench battle. Both teams' pass rushes have solid bag numbers, not elite. Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau chasing Hurts. Rousseau with his best 2025 showing last week, 2.5 sacks.
Gets out of trouble, and now he can't get away from Rousseau. Buffalo delivers on 4th down, a sack.
Meantime, each quarterback has taken around 2 sacks per contest. Doesn't usually swing things. The last time these two hooked up, they put on a show. Remember that 37-34 Philadelphia win in OT from 2023? Let's go first meeting ever though. Only game they played each other in the entire decade of the 70s, 1973, and it was well worth the price of admission.
Like the Bills, the Eagles are a team of character. And by the 4th quarter, Philadelphia had forged a lead of its own. Now trailing by 2, Ferguson kept his wits about him, hitched up his britches, straightened his helmet, and drove the Bills to within field goal range.
So funny when they play the old highlights. They just look so dopey. But you know they were going so hard. Look at them.
John Leipold's 47-yarder was good, and the Bills led 27-26. Then, dramatically, with 3 seconds left, Eagle Tom Dempsey had a chip shot to win.
All right, let's take a look at this here. So we got out of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out of 10 people that are making their picks, we got 7 out of 10 that say Buffalo Bills win this game. So 70%. These guys are tied for 2nd overall in terms of their overall pick history. There's 3 tied for 2nd overall, and 2 of the 3 that are tied for 2nd overall picked the Bills. 1st overall, this guy right here, he picked Bills. And then this guy that's tied for 2nd picked the Eagles. He's like, go Birds in a close game. Probably an Eagles fan. He's just wanting to pick his team. He's a homer. But listen, my personal thoughts, I don't know the score. I'm never good at predicting scores. I think Buffalo's going to win this game. One of the last games, potentially maybe the last game ever at Highmark Stadium, the old Ralph. I'm going to miss that stadium. I was a season ticket holder. Went to many games there. The first game I ever went to as a Buffalo Bills fan, just as a kid, was in 1988. I went to Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets, and it was 9-6. It was an overtime game. The Bills beat the Jets to clinch the AFC East division. The fans rushed onto the field and tore down the goalposts. I'd never seen anything like it. I was a kid. I was like, holy smokes. I'm walking out of the stadium with my uncle, and there's like drunk Buffalo Bills fans like, carrying goalposts out in the parking lot. Blah, 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 go, hey, hey. You know, that whole thing. And it was just like, that was the first game I ever went to. It was wild. It was insane. I was a kid, so I was too young, obviously. I wasn't on the field, but I was sitting there. I had end zone seats with my uncle. And so I'm sitting there watching like fans like crawling up on the goalpost, just a mass of humanity, like Pandemonium! It was crazy. It was intense. It was insane. It was the first game I ever went to. I take the Bills this week against the Eagles. I think Cook does just enough. Probably the offense does just enough. I think right now, really, truly, we're not coasting, but they didn't go hard against Cleveland. They won sloppy. They're not going hard in practice this week. It's the holidays. It's going to be, I think, probably another ugly game, right? Just what we're used to. The boundary receivers do nothing much. Throwing to backs, throwing to tight ends. My only thing I'll say is, look, if Kincaid isn't giving you much and he's playing hurt and you're not getting much out of Dawson Knox, if he's not making a lot of plays, look, why not put Keon Coleman in the Kincaid route tree and let him run those pass-catching tight end routes? Because he's just a big, slow wide receiver. That's all Kincaid really is, too. And you get him matched up on linebackers, and he may be useful. You may actually find yourself increasing his trade value after this year. I think everybody knows his time here in Buffalo is up, right? We don't want him here. He's missing meetings. He doesn't care. Why don't you put him in position to not only help the team, but to actually boost his trade value so that in the offseason, maybe you can put Keon Coleman out there in a first-round pick and get somebody serviceable. Or put Keon Coleman in a first and a third together and get somebody. Or put Keon Coleman and 2 first-round picks together and go get Justin Jefferson. You know what I mean? Why don't you increase his value a little bit here at the end of the season? Not because he deserves it, but because we deserve it as fans when you move him and you can get maximum capacity, maximum value for him. Let's go Buffalo. Merry Christmas, y'all. Signing off.